it's Lisa here at the Tulsa Zoo, and this week we're taking a tour on Tour Tuesday of our Rainforest Building. So you might have already heard from Keaton and Gabby about the different structures of the rainforest, from the emergent layer and the canopy, the understory down to the forest floor. Up here we have some trees that represent some of our emergent layer trees. You can see we have cecropia and kapok trees, and up in those trees you can see birds. So that's one thing that's really neat about the Rainforest Building. We have a lot of different birds. They have great colors and vocalizations, and they all live here in harmony. The Rainforest Building is what's called an immersive exhibit. It puts you right into the middle of the rainforest so you can really feel what it would be like if you were in an actual rainforest. Rainforests are places with lots of rainfall throughout the year, and they are abundant across the equator and the areas just slightly above and below the equator at the Tropic of Capricorn and Cancer, all across the globe. So some of these animals are South American or Central American. Some of them are from Africa and Asia, depending on where their rainforest is. So right here we have our first rainforest animal. This is our Anaconda, and she is perched up there on top of her wood inside of her dry part of her exhibit. They can move around on land, but they move much faster in water, and they are a constrictor type snake. So you might remember the different ways that reptiles live from our reptile week. She will constrict her prey until it becomes unconscious, and then she will consume it whole. She can reach out of the water and snatch things really fast, and that's how she can hunt. Right now she's resting. They do have a very slow metabolism, and they have to rest whenever they've had a good meal to work that off. So during the rainy season, there's a flooded forest portion of the rainforest, and that's what this tunnel here represents. What happens is it rains so much that normally dry parts actually start to fill with water. And as we go through here, we'll learn about some animals that take advantage of that flooding part during the rainy season. So over here, we have some red-bellied piranha, and I know they're very famous, but for some of the reasons that they are famous are actually not really accurate. A lot of people think that they're mean or aggressive, or they will bite you and a whole bunch of them will swim up and they're scary, but they're really not. They hang out in loose groups spread out in the Amazon. So when they come together to form tight clusters like this, it's only when they get trapped in a shallow pool formed during the rainy season. And then when the dry season starts to dry up those pools, they get kind of trapped and they start to frenzy over food. So that's really the only time. That and when they're very young, they have to eat a whole lot because they're growing. So they're a little bit more voracious with their appetite. They have those great shiny scales and those red bellies for which they get their name, and they are carnivores, but they do like a lot of snails and worms and things that hang out around the bottom of the fresh water that they live in the Amazon. Over here we have some of our crocodilians. So much like our Chinese alligator, we actually have a Chinese alligator in here, but these are our smooth-fronted dwarf caimans, and they're called dwarf because of their size. They don't get any larger than they are right now. This is our two adults, one male, one female, and you'll notice just like our other crocodilian species, our alligators, they're hanging out by the edge of the water waiting for something to come up. And just like that Chinese alligator, the mother is fiercely protective of her young and will spend a lot of time caring for them and build a nest on land and protect that nest, and the father also helps in rearing the young in this situation. They're great parents, and they have those great spiny plates as well. Up ahead we have some more of our fish, freshwater fish. Over here we have some silver dollars, and they are a type of schooling fish, so they hang out together, and you'll see they swim back underneath. That's because they've been given lots of great places to hide. It's very important for them to have a place to feel safe whenever they're in their home. So that's why they have all these unique structures inside their habitat, so that if they don't feel like being on camera, they can swim away. Across on the other side, we have a couple of fish. Some of them are related to piranha, and you can see they have like that same shape. That is our red pacu. They're different though. They are not carnivores. They will sometimes eat a little bit of meat and some smaller organisms like worms, but for the most part, they prefer to swim into the flooded forest during the rainy season because that's when there's more access to fruit, and they have special teeth that look like molars inside their mouth that help them crush even the toughest of nuts, and they especially love Brazil nuts. And down below we have a red-tailed catfish. The red-tailed catfish eats a lot of different things, from small invertebrates and worms and plant material, pretty much anything they can get a hold of. When you're in the rainforest, it's such an abundant place, so much food's around, you have to develop unique ways of getting your food, and you can't be too picky either. So now that we're done eating our pacu and our catfish, let's come over here and talk about another fish that has developed a really unique strategy for getting its food. Over here we have a couple of different fish species. We have the Bozeman's rainbow fish. They are another type of schooling fish. And then we have this striped one up here at the top, the banded archerfish. And they actually do something really neat. They take gulps of water into their mouth and put their mouth just above the surface, and they shoot water out in a fast jet stream, and it hits flying insects as they come above, and that's how they catch their prey. They have really excellent eyesight that also helps them with that hunting. So as we come out of the flooded forest, we're ascending back into the dry part of the forest floor, and some of these great canopy trees here, like this mahogany tree. Something that I didn't mention last week during Primate Week is you might notice these little marks here on the tree. Those are actually from when the Jeffrey marmosets lived here in the Rainforest Building, and they do eat gum or sap from trees. They'll come up and make a bite on there, and that'll cause the tree to produce a nice sticky sap that they really like to consume. Behind you we have one more fish. We have our water wolves. They are really fast, and they look like vampires because they have really sharp, pointy fangs in the front. And they have incredible bursts of speed, and that's how they catch their prey. They're kind of shy fish, so they will lie in wait in a hiding spot, and they will burst out really fast to catch their prey, which are other smaller fish. And we also have a couple of catfish in there. That catfish prefers to sift things out of the bottom. He knocks all the dirt up so that he can get things from the bottom that have fallen down there. And he really loves to hang out down there at the bottom of the river or lake or pond, wherever he is. It's kind of hot in here, actually, so that's one thing about the rainforest. It is so close to the equator, all the sun comes beaming down, but that's what's so important. It helps all of the moisture lift up and create rain, and that's how rainforests are able to form. So up here we have some different plants, some palms and ferns, and all kinds of things. These things couldn't grow without the help of some of our pollinator animals. Up here we have our inside exhibit with our bats. So bats are very important pollinators and seed dispersers. We have a couple of different species of fruit bats here at the Tulsa Zoo, and they love their fruit, as you can see. They like to roost in little hidden spots, but if you've ever come to the Tulsa Zoo, you probably know that there's some in there that are female, and there's some that live out here in the building that are male. And they're all kind of sleeping right now. So we're going to come in here on one last area and look at what's called a jumble gap or a light gap. So up here in this area that would represent a nice jungle gap or light gap, a scenario would happen where a tree has fallen and it has knocked down a lot of the other plants around it, creating a way for light to get to the forest floor. And therefore, all these beautiful low-growing plants will actually be able to grow. Most of the time, the soil in the rainforest is so nutrient depleted because of all the rain, but there's something that has fallen that's creating nutrients in the soil, and fungus are able to break it down, and therefore you get all these great fruiting plants, and a lot of animals come out to inspect and find something to eat. Here we have some of our poison dart frogs, and they are called poison because if an animal consumes it, they will actually get sick, and it can be fatal for an animal that decides to consume it. Their bright colors serve as a warning to any would-be predator that they are toxic. They actually get that toxin from the insects that they eat, and those insects get the toxin from the plants that they eat. So it all started with a plant like these here in the Jumble Gap. Well, that's it for our Tour Tuesday today, everybody. I hope that you guys have really enjoyed the Rainforest Building. I hope you'll come back tomorrow for story time. Have a good rest of your week. Bye.